This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Ew, look. This is what a primary brings out. Karl Rove on the TV. Look at that.
The high command of Team Trump ought to be concerned about unifying the Republican Party because, as we see in the in these states, a third of the vote in Virginia.
Wow.
43% of the vote in Massachusetts going to Nikki Haley. A quarter of the vote in North Carolina. Maine has now dropped down to about a quarter of the vote, but it was 31% for Nikki Haley. Vermont, 48%. There's still some work to be done to unify the Republican Party.
You think? Because the Republican Party is now MAGA. And there are moderate Republicans in this country. There are people who have a Republican ideology, meaning low taxes, okay? And this is as far as they go in their party choice. It's a perception thing, by the way, but it's where some people are. And most of the people that are there, they are income earners in the suburbs, in the exurbs. A lot of them are women, and they're not exactly, I don't know how you use Nikki Haley as a vessel if you're a woman, because she thinks a zygote. She thinks a petri dish with a fertilized egg in it. I don't know, maybe you think it's tax deduction. I don't know, because she thinks that is a baby. A baby. This is why I say, if you're going to give a cognitive test, Nikki Haley said, I want cognitive tests for everybody over the age of 75 if you're going to run. I want a cognitive test. Well, I want one for you. Here it is. Draw a petri dish with a fertilized egg in it. Draw a baby. Are they the same? Okay. That's my test for you. How complicated it. But anyway, women were literally saying they're not voting for Trump. They just can't, because they now know that a jury found him guilty of raping a woman in a department store. Okay? And it's not the best look that you'll ever have when you're trying on dresses for yet another wedding that you have to get dressed for, okay? And you're in the dressing room there at Macy's. It's not your best moment. Especially swimsuits. Oh my God. This is why shop at home became such a big damn deal. But I'm telling you right now, her voters, they don't think that Trump is fit to serve.
Among Haley voters in battleground North Carolina, 2/3 of them say Trump is not mentally fit to serve.
Oops.
Feelings if Donald Trump wins the nomination. Obviously, you might suspect this will be a largely dissatisfied group. 73% of Haley voters in North Carolina say they will be downright dissatisfied if indeed Donald Trump wins the nomination. And what about, will you vote Republican in November, regardless of who that nominee is? Haley voters, and this is the warning sign for Donald Trump, 81% of them say no. They are not an automatic vote for the Republican nominee. We know they're out there voting against Donald Trump. Donald Trump and his team are going to have to bring some of these people back into the fold.
No, I don't think that's doable. I really don't. I think that there are people who understand that he is just a lout, that he's a brute, that he's got dementia, that he can't put a sentence together anymore. He always had trouble with it. We now know that the White House was awash in speed and in sleeping pills. It sounds so ridiculous, but it is. It's a true thing. It's a story that was published in Rolling Stone magazine. It's a story we heard before from reporters on Air Force One. And now the maggots have made this Ronnie Jackson dude, the guy who told you that Donald Trump was a beautiful male specimen, that his physique was not what you were seeing, not what you were observing, but what he said it was. And that was fit. That he's now a congressman, the guy that handed out the pills, the guy that lied about what you saw Donald Trump look like and tried to make you think that he looked like something else, who literally did and played that game. Don't believe your own lying eyes. Believe me, I examined him and he is fit as a fit. He's got great genes and holy crap, man, that man is a Congress member. a voting member of Congress from Texas. Elizabeth Holmes Norton, she is a member of Congress but can't vote because she represents D.C., where, by the way, Nikki Haley won, and also in Vermont. So here's my message to you, Vermont. When Donald Trump loses, and he will, you get to say, I told you so, the loudest, because you were the only state that, had a Republican primary where Nikki Haley prevailed. And I'm telling you, I really believe, I don't know if she would have, I don't, but she could have given Donald Trump, given Joe Biden a real run for his money. She really would have been a contender. She really could have been somebody that scared me, somebody that made me pause, somebody that, actually made me think, oh, this is going to be a heavy lift. This is going to be a tough one. I don't think it's going to be a tough one. When you look at those exit polls, when you look at those numbers, 73% of Haley voters will not vote for Donald Trump. And this is Fox News, okay, telling you something.
So you look at the exits for GOP voters tonight who won't guarantee their vote for the nominee. North Carolina, 35%. Virginia, 36%. California, 33%. That has been consistent, that there's 30 to 50% of people who don't want Donald Trump but identify as a Republican or are voting in that primary. How can Joe Biden and his team make the case, talk about some of the things, of course, you talk about on your show, Larry, about the economy, to up those optimism numbers, which are going in the right direction, and there's always a lag from results to how you feel about it, to talk about immigration. Clearly, he wants to. That bipartisan border deal is going to be a big deal at the State of the Union, and other non-traditional Democratic issues.
I love that necklace. Simple, elegant, very 60s. Love it. Jessica Tarlov at Fox News. Everybody, call Roe, for God's sake. Jessica Tarlov, she is the resident liberal at Fox News. But the numbers are the numbers. The math is the math, okay? The exit polls are the exit polls, and the vote tabulations are the numbers. Period. End of story. And you have 30 to 50% of Republican primary voters. Primary voters. These are dyed-in-the-wool party fans, okay? Saying no to Donald Trump. And so when you look at the people that are voting not committed or no preference for Biden as a protest vote, not because they don't think he's fit, not because they don't like him, but as a protest vote on a separate issue that isn't an American per se issue. That is a Middle Eastern issue. That is an issue for Hamas. And an issue for Benjamin Netanyahu's right-wing Likud party in Israel. That's who has the issue to deal with. Now, Hamas, as I said, they are not producing the names of the live hostages that they have. They refuse to do it. They won't send out any names. They won't send out proof of life, nothing. And they have rejected the ceasefire. They have rejected it. This is something that the United States called for. This is something you saw Kamala Harris called for with the permission, with the buy-in, with the instructions from the President of the United States, Joe Biden, to go out there and say that. And then enter negotiations where, by the way, Israel was a no-show, okay? We have these negotiations going on. We have negotiations between Qatar. And you know why Qatar is important? Qatar funds Hamas. I know Donald Trump wants to lie to you and, tell you that it's all Iran. No, Qatar funds Hamas. You know who else funded Hamas? You know who else? Anybody? Israel. Yeah. Benjamin Netanyahu funded Hamas. Why? Why would he fund a terrorist organization? Because he wanted to point to them and say, we could never get into a two-state solution with them. They're terrorists. And he literally paid their bills. I'm just saying. It's a weird world, everybody. Weird. But those are the true facts about that. So anyway, here you have the uncommitteds, okay? And 20% was the highest number of uncommitteds, and that was in Minnesota. Highest number, 13 in Michigan. And then 8 in Colorado and 13 in North Carolina. Great protest. Love it. Really down with it. Believe in it. I think it's the right thing to do. It's all anybody cares about who isn't elected on election day is that. Not a fan of what you did to Schiff. He didn't deserve that. But when you look at the 30 to 50% of Haley voters, and the Haley voters were 30 to 40% of the primary voters, he can't win. She may have been able to. I don't know. And you know what? You'll never know. You'll never know. And that's why Vermont gets bragging rights when Donald Trump loses. They will be the loudest I told you so's, and I will hear them because they did what they said needed to be done in order for the Republican Party to prevail at all in their fantasy. They voted for Nikki and not for Trump. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.